Am I the a-hole for telling my wife she can work overtime for food if she refuses to eat deer meat? As a lot of you know, food is expensive right now. I was lucky enough to get a deer when hunting. I ground it up for ground meat. Basically, when you cook it, you just think it is normal ground meat, especially when you do recipes with spices like tacos. My issue is with my wife. We have 2 kids that are under 7. The oldest is fine eating it, but my youngest hates it solely due to my wife. The first time I made some meatloaf with it, my wife commented to her that it's Bambi. She doesn't hate the taste just when she knows it's deer. I know this because she liked the tacos and then refused to eat it after my wife made another comment about Bambi. She was 2 tacos in already. My wife doesn't like to eat it, but I would think she would see that this is to save money and the food is fine, that our kids need protein and meat is expensive right now. I have talked to her before, but she keeps doing it. I want my daughter to actually have some red meat in her diet since we can't afford to keep buying it. It came to a head today. I made some meat sauce and pasta. My youngest was already eating it and my wife came in and made a Bambi comment. She refused to eat the rest of her dinner. I had enough and told her I expect her to start working overtime for food since she stops people from eating the deer meat. We got into an argument about it, and she thinks I am a huge jerk and disgusting for eating the deer meat. Also, yes, we did discuss going hunting for deer and she said to go for it, but apparently she didn't think I would get one. She was very surprised when I actually came home with a deer. So, am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for ruining my sister's Christmas? My husband bought my older sister an $800 plane ticket to come back home to California to visit me and my family for my birthday and Christmas. We planned this small intimate family pajama party to celebrate mine, my younger sister's, my nephew's, and my dad's birthday, which all fall on the week before Christmas. My older sister decided to invite a random guy who wants to marry her, but hasn't even met him before this party. I talked to the rest of my family, and no one really feels comfortable having a random person at our family party, especially since it's on her son's actual birthday. My feelings were hurt that after my husband spent so much on her plane ticket, she would plan a first date on the one day our whole family was supposed to be together. When I told her, she said that I ruined her Christmas, and all she wanted to do was introduce her future husband to the whole family. So am I the a-hole? Edit for more context. My sister lives on the East Coast. The guy lives near us on the West Coast. They have never met each other before but have mutual friends. They've only been talking and texting for about a month, nothing serious. My sister is even talking to other people as well. She is here for 8 days and this family party falls on the first day that she is here. She knew it was going to be a small family gathering because she helped plan it. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that I'm jealous of her life within earshot of my husband? Long story short, I'm 30 and I have a 1-year-old baby and a husband. We live a comfortable, boring life in the suburbs. I have a younger sister who is 25 and lives a big city life. She is single, has her own apartment, and goes out often with a gaggle of friends. My husband was born to be a dad and live a quiet life. He's been wearing New Balances and cargo shorts since I met him. He likes staying home, playing video games, caring for our family, and tending to his vegetable garden. I also tend towards introversion and for the most part one like my life, but ever since we had our baby, I've been stir-crazy and wishing that I had more of a fun life as a young person. I have hobbies and a career and all that, but no social life or anything. Note, having a baby didn't change my social life. I've just never really had one, never dated either, just my husband. Anyway, my sister and I were talking on the phone and she was telling me some story about a party she went to. I said, God, I'm jealous of you sometimes, and my husband overheard. After the call, he said it's like I have one foot out the door and asked if I even wanted this life. I said of course I did, and it was normal to have occasional regrets. I feel like an a-hole for saying this knowing he was nearby, but I honestly didn't think it was a huge deal. So am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for asking guests if they had intercourse? 2 very close friends came to my Christmas party the other night. After finding out that they intended on sleeping in the same bed together, I jokingly wrote, "No intercourse," on a piece of toilet paper and placed it on the bed. After they left, I was cleaning the house up, only to go into the spare room and find stains scattered across the sheets of the guest bed. So I texted my friend and asked if they had intercourse. She denied it at first, but after asking again, she admitted it. She then told me that it was none of my business, which is fair enough, but I don't appreciate that they didn't even strip the bed and weren't planning on telling me that it was soaked in various liquids. I do feel bad for asking, but I also had to clean it, so just wanted to confirm the origin of the substances found on my sheets. So am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for refusing to return my daughter's Christmas gift? My daughter, Kayla, 17, has been asking for a laptop for a while. Money's been tight, so my wife and I saved up to get it for her for Christmas. I couldn't wait to give it to her. The other day, I come home from work and find Kayla upset, my wife in a mood, and our son, Martin, 15, looking pleased. I asked my wife in private what was going on. She started venting to me that Kayla is an ungrateful brat, we should return her gift, etc. She then explained that her and Martin decided to pull a small prank on Kayla. Martin told Kayla that their mom told him, instead of the laptop, she was getting the amount it'd cost in gift cards to various stores, clothing, food, places you can't buy a laptop, because she felt Kayla wasn't ready for one. Kayla got very upset and asked my wife if this was true. She said yes, maybe next year. Kayla got upset and said this wasn't fair. She had only asked for one thing, and clearly money wasn't an issue. My wife admits she started laughing, which made Kayla even more upset, and told her mom she was a jerk. My wife feels how Kayla reacted to the prank showed her true colors, and what if we couldn't afford it? I pointed out that we had told Kayla in the past that we couldn't afford it and she took it well. It seems that the issue was knowing we had the money and could have bought it, but allegedly got her gift cards instead. I asked her what she expected to come from this little prank and called her childish for roping Martin into it. I said I'm not returning the laptop. My wife is mad at me and says Kayla needs to be punished. I also made my wife tell Kayla it was all a prank. Kayla apologized for calling her mom a jerk but said the prank was super hurtful. My wife refused to apologize and doubled down that she doesn't feel Kayla deserves it. Martin did apologize for his role as well.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to give up my extra seat for someone else's toddler on a flight that I paid for because I'm obese? I, 34F, am obese. I'm actively working toward losing weight and I've made progress, but I'm still obese as I'm typing this. I'm going over to see my brother and his husband for Christmas across the country, and because I'm obese, I booked an extra seat so everyone can be more comfortable. I know it sucks having to pay for an extra seat, but it is what it is. I'm aware some places like Southwest Airlines have this customer of size policy, but I've had some bad experiences with Southwest even before I was obese, so I wasn't flying with them and it's mostly my fault I even got obese. Everything goes smoothly from checking in to security and boarding, at least at first. This woman comes to my row with a boy who appeared to be about a year old. She told me to squeeze into one seat so her son could sit in the other. She told me, not asked, I told her no and that I paid for the seat for the extra space. She makes a big fuss over it, which got the flight attendant's attention. She told the flight attendant I was stealing the seat from her son, then I showed my boarding passes, proving that I, in fact, paid for the extra seat. The flight attendant asked me if I could try to squeeze in, but I said no, that I wanted the extra seat I paid for. The boy, who the mom said is 18 months old, was supposed to sit in her lap because she didn't buy a ticket for him, so he could do just that. The flight attendant eventually told the mom to put her son in her lap. I got dirty looks and passive-aggressive remarks from her for the entire flight, and I do feel a little bad because the boy looked hard to control. So, am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for not wanting to share my birthday with my deceased twin anymore? I, 16F, will be 17 in 3 days. I was a twin. My brother passed away hours after birth. He was 5 minutes older than me. I was told my mother went into deep depression, but with help got better over time. I've watched old videos, and me sharing my birthday with my brother started at my first birthday. There's always 5 minutes of remembrance in honor of him, and instead of having just normal candles on my cake, there will be double for him. As a kid, I didn't really understand or mind, because I got to blow out extra candles when I was 8. I did question it, and they told me it was in remembrance for my brother since we share the same birthday. This carried on until my 16th, that I didn't get to celebrate because I was in hospital. My grandpa showed up while I was recovering with a gift and wished me, and only me, a happy birthday. After he left, I realized I loved that he only acknowledged me. I realized I didn't want to keep sharing my birthday with my brother, but then I felt guilty. I did try and speak to my parents about just me celebrating my birthday this year, but I was brushed off. Now we come to what happened. My grandpa, who is the official cake maker in my family, asked, what type of cake did I want? I told him and added firmly with only 17 candles, please. My parents were in the next room and immediately came in demanding to know what I was doing, that the other 17 candles were for my brother. I ended up crying and told them that he's not even here and I am. I can't remember everything that was said, but there was a lot of shouting and I got told that I'm selfish and I need to stop being self-centered. Grandpa left with me. I've at his house since the big fight. I've been crying a lot and Grandpa has been here for me, but I feel so guilty and need to ask, am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for not warning my Jewish and Muslim friends and letting them eat pork? My grandmother is old school. I love it. She is actually my great-grandmother, so she is even older. She still does all kinds of stuff for herself, and she loves to bake. One of our traditions is that she makes about 1 million pies for Thanksgiving, enough so that almost everyone gets a pie to take home all for themselves. And yes, when I was younger I ate an entire pie at one sitting, no regrets. I'm currently living with a few people in a house we rent together. There are 7 of us total and we have some friction, but not more than usual, I think. Everyone pays on time, nobody is a jerk about loud noises, we get along, until now. I left my pie in my area of the fridge. It was there for a few days and then it was gone. I asked why it was gone. My roommates admitted that they were high and ate my pie. They were originally only going to eat a tiny slice so that I might not notice, but, once again, they were high. They said they were sorry, but that the crust was so crisp and flaky they couldn't help themselves. I told them it was like that because my grandma uses pork lard she tenders herself to make the crust. This has now caused a problem because I didn't warn them not to take my food. We have all borrowed food from each other before. We always pay it back. It has worked for us, but now they are angry that I didn't warn them there was pork in the pie. I'm not mad that they ate the pie. I had the pie sweats after Thanksgiving. I would have shared and warned them if they had asked. So, am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that her son is not my responsibility? Today my 28F brother, 28M, sister-in-law, 32F, and I stepped outside to have a smoke. Their son, 2M, opened the door and ran around the yard for a bit while we talked. When we were done, they both went inside and left their son outside. I yelled for him that it was time to go inside, and he yelled back, "No, shut up," and continued to run around. I opened the door and stepped inside and saw my sister-in-law talking with her father, so I said, "Come get yo son." Her father responded with, "I'm talking to my daughter," very aggressively. I didn't say anything back but just went back outside to make sure the 2-year-old didn't get hurt. About 10 minutes go by when nephew says he's ready to go inside, so we do. Sister-in-law's father tried to say something else to me, but I cut him off and said, "Her children are not my responsibility. The next time I'll just come inside, and it'll be your fault if he gets hurt, since talking with your daughter is more important than her being a mother." I would never leave my nephew outside alone, by the way. He called me a jerk, Mormons don't cuss, and said, "It's a good thing you are unable to have children." I left for work shortly after the incident, but I can't help but think that maybe I am the a-hole.
Am I the a-hole for not telling my husband about the gifts ahead of time? Me 36F and my husband 41M have been married for almost 10 years. He says he is not good at buying gifts, even though I just think he is lazy about it, some form of weaponized incompetence, so I do most of the gift buying except for my own gifts. This year I was sent by work to South Africa, and I decided to buy Christmas gifts there. I had mentioned that one of our daughters wanted a bike, but he said no, so I moved on, but I told him I was going to buy gifts in South Africa anyway. Typically he likes me to call and inform him when I'm buying each gift, but this year I decided not to. After all, I am the one buying the gifts with my money and making the decision. He just wants to be kept in the loop. I got back home, wrapped the gifts, and sent them to my parents since we were traveling together out of town for Christmas. I bought and wrapped his gifts as well. Christmas morning arrives and there is no gift under the tree for me. My husband says I acted in bad faith and didn't tell him that I was bringing any gifts or that I had bought any gifts, so he didn't think to buy me a gift. He says I was acting like I didn't want to involve him, so he didn't have time to plan. I said it's Christmas, so obviously there are going to be gifts. He said not going with the usual way was underhanded and threw him off, and that's why I have no gifts. I was blindsided by this, but I stood my ground. However, now I'm a bit unsure. So am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter-in-law her being poor is not my problem and to stop judging about the 75+ gifts under the tree? I am wondering if I am justified or not. Everyone comes over my house for Christmas. I have 14 grandkids, then all of my kids, 5, everyone's spouse, and all of the older relatives. The kids get 3 presents each, that's 42 gifts just for the kids. There are 17 adults and I get them 2 gifts each, so 34 gifts in total. Then I got 9 gifts in total for the pets in the family. I'm not counting any gifts from my husband and me or any of the gifts I got from all the relatives. If I did, it would be around 100 under the tree. As you can see, it is a ton of gifts because it's a ton of people, and I start shopping for everyone basically at the start of the new year. Anyways, I put everything under the tree and it is a mess each year. My issue is the one of my daughters-in-law. The whole night she kept going on about how she is not able to get that many presents for their 2 kids. At the adult table she started ranting about how I made her look bad to her kids. Her husband, my son, tried to make her stop, and she told him, "Someone has to tell this speech." I had enough at this point and said that her being poor is not my problem and to stop judging the number of presents. The dinner went on and the kids had a wonderful time, but my son wants me to apologize. So am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my pregnant sister I don't want to help raise her kids? I'm 30F, my mom is 65F, my sister is 38F. My sister's son is 10 months old. She's basically a single mother. She works a full-time job and is the breadwinner, and is also the parent who takes care of the baby the most. The father only works part-time as a waiter to focus on his art, making music. He says he can't look after the kid because he's tired after his part-time job. They are struggling with money and have downgraded to a smaller apartment to save on rent. My mom has been giving them money every month and buying them baby stuff. Also me and my mom, mostly my mom, have been helping her take care of the child. Mom spends a week out of the month over at their apartment to help take care of the baby. My mom comes home, and I go over there for the next week. We have been alternating like that. It's taken a toll on my mom's mental and physical health. I also don't like it because I feel like I should be focusing on my own life. My sister is pregnant again. Me and my mom are horrified that she is keeping it. She also announced that she is breaking up with her boyfriend and that he isn't going to co-parent. My mom is nearing retirement and told me she doesn't want my sister and her kids to depend on her. My mom said she mentally, physically, and financially can't help my sister with raising 2 babies. I also did not sign up for this responsibility. So we set some boundaries with her and told her we won't be helping as much, and if she keeps the baby, she needs to figure out the childcare by herself. My sister got upset and complained to her auntie, my mom's sister, and now that side of the family is calling us selfish. Are we the a-holes?